My name is Ben Schubert. I go by Shuby, and I am from planet Earth. I'm a military brat. I've moved all around, but I spent most of my life in Missouri. I am a photojournalist. I hold the camera. So, if you ever see a really good shot, chances are that wasn't me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I love my job. We go around. I work with a lot of great reporters, and I'm a journalist. I went to school for journalism. And I've even done stories in this very shop. I'm a comic book guy, which is why we are here taking it to the limit at Gotham City Limit. You met the owner earlier. He was in a comic book recently. He got featured into a comic, like an artist drew him in. So we did a story on that. It was really fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that you're from, or you spent the most of your time in Missouri. I came from St. Louis.
So I tell people I'm from Earth, but if they need like a pinpoint of like, what kind of a person are you? Like Midwestern, emo kid. Yes, that was me in the Ozarks.
How did we meet?
We met at Jax Creators, right? Thanks to Ryan, the greatest guy in the world. Not trying to get that gammy, but I'm gonna look at that one because that one's only on me. I don't need it. But anyway, wink, wink. No, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we met at Jax Creators. I just remember you walking in, and it was just like boom, sunshine. Like that's the energy that you bring. And I'm told the same thing.
Yeah.
And I know there's a photo of you and I when I was hosting. I don't know if you were hosting, but I was hosting. It was just a photo of you like, and I'm just like, that's a lot, even for me. So I knew that you and I, instantly, we were like, okay, this is going to be a friendship right here.
Yes. We both have a lot of high energy and love to connect people. I just saw that picture the other day, so I feel like I'm going to have to drop that. It's such a great picture.
It's such a good candy photo because I'm just like, oh, hello. And you're just like literally, you look like you're on your toes. Like you were mid-jump or something.
It probably was late. Which is very typical for me. Always running late. So I was like, hey, I'm here. I made it.
I'm here.
Yes.
Good times. Just walked in.
Yes. And we love Jax Creators so much. I'll always shout them out every chance I get.
100%. We just had Creatorverse too. Such a fantastic turnout. Jax Creators for me was probably one of the best things that had happened to me. Like when I first moved here, I knew nobody.
Yeah.
And they were setting up Holiday Nerd Market, and I was on that story. And that's how I met Ryan. And I was like, dude, I'm into this nerdy stuff. I want in. He was like, you're in. And here we are.
Yeah. And that's why I love Jax Creators too. Just the community there. And everyone wants everyone to win and connect. And I have made some of my closest friends in Jacksonville through that community. And I am eternally grateful to everything that Ryan and the Jax Creators community does. Ryan owes me an interview, and he knows this.
Right.
He's been busy, so I've given him a pass.
I'm super busy. I got work.
We're making time for it. I love Ryan. I know.
Him. No, I'll share him. I'll do it. I'll let you. I have nothing to lose here.
Oh, gosh.
Nothing.
We love you, Ryan.
We love you.
Yes. What is the most beautiful way that you have felt or experienced the love of God?
Well, like I said, we were just talking about it. Jax Creators and the community here in Jacksonville. I was just talking about how I've lived all over the world. Yeah. But I was on the phone with my dad the other day, and I told him, I was like, Dad, I've lived in so many different places. I've never felt more at home than I have here. And that's because of places like Jax Creators, Draw Together. I just recently joined Jacksonville Run Club. They accepted me immediately. I've never ran a day in my life. And here we are.
Out to JRC.
100%.
I don't run, but I love what they do.
You should come. It's great. But, I hadn't run a day in my life. And I went in there and they open arms, and now I go every week. I might have to change it every week because because now they have Draw Together at after hours on Tuesdays, and that's when they meet. Yes. So I'm like, I got to choose between running 5 miles or going to Guanabana and drinking a smoothie and drawing. Man, that's kind of hard, but
not hard for me.
Yeah, no, it's not hard for me either. Now I have so many plans and things that I'm involved in that they're now overlapping, and I have to choose now. And that's never been a thing in my life.
I love that. So if I'm understanding correctly, just the community that you have built here locally since you've been in Jacksonville is really just feels like
that present, like, okay, so I told you earlier that I'm a Christian is the way I like to say it. I don't like to talk about, like, I'm very to myself about it. So when I think of God, I think about somebody that's there. And when it comes to like values and stuff, like obviously God and Jesus, but we're sitting in here in this comic book store. Superman is somebody I always look up to. Obviously, I think of the teachings of Jesus, but Superman has been somebody that's in my life. This is a world where bullies don't exist, and as somebody who was picked on his whole life, this is where my escapism, so yeah, and I can always feel like maybe God is in the form of Superman to me. Maybe like when it comes to team building, Power Rangers was my jam, and it still is. I've read every comic book. Wearing the shirt right now, like shout out to Billy, that's my favorite. But so like I kind of like to intertwine these things, but I kind of want to go back to my original point. The community here.
Yeah,
I feel like someone's always got my back here. Whether it be Ryan, whether it be you, whether it be Ricky, whether it be anybody from Jax Creators, I know someone's got my back.
Yeah.
And it's just the feeling of having that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel God around me.
Oh, I love that. And I think that that's such an incredible way of encountering that and just feeling that supernatural love, to your point, like whatever that looks like to someone.
Yes.
But just that community and feeling like you're surrounded by love.
Yes.
And that's what it is.
And that's what the feeling of God is, in my personal opinion.
Yes. Agreed. I love that.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to keep it like I'm trying to keep it the God thing, but I also don't want people to think that I think Superman is God. Like that is not what I think.
What does God's love look or feel like to you?
We were just talking about it. Just the feeling of somebody having your back. Somebody having your back, whether it be Ryan at Jax Creators, whether it be the people that draw together, Reek and all them at Jacksonville Run Club. I know they got my back. If I was having a problem anywhere, if they were there, they'd be like, Ben, you good? They check in. Actually, at Creator Conference, right before the second day, my dad called me to tell me that my grandmother was in the hospital. She had broken. Oh, she's okay now. She was in the ICU though, but it was right before Creator Conference started. Like we were just getting ready to open the doors, and I get a call from my dad. He's like, "Hey, I gotta tell you something." I'm like, but I remember her, Ricky, Naraya, Ryan. I was sitting next to all them, and they started talking about comic books with me. I got up and I walked up to Ryan, and I was like, I needed that so bad.
Yeah.
I got a call later that day. She's okay. She's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, having my back.
Yeah.
They had my back. And that's kind of how God feels to me. That's kind of how it is. Just somebody having your back,
Yeah. I agree that. Well, first off, I'm glad that you have that in general. I'm glad that your grandma's okay.
She is, she's a tough cookie. She almost didn't get in the ambulance, is what my mom said. She said she wasn't going to get in the ambulance, but then they offered her pain meds. And I'm like, that's my grandma right there. Samesies. And she... No, I'm kidding. So, my grandma. I'm giving you good content right now.
I know.
I want you to know that right now.
Well, like I said, I'm so glad that you have that community. I definitely agree, and I can empathize with that a lot. I think that just that community, feeling like people have your back, being surrounded by love, to me feels like what I imagine God's love to be like. Feeling like you're surrounded by love, I think, is so incredibly crucial.
The guy that ran this shop, this is my happy place, and that means the world to me.
Absolutely, yeah. To be known by people, for people to care about you, remember little things about you that are important to you is such an incredible aspect of community and just feeling loved. So I'm so glad that you have that here. I'm glad that you have that through Jax Creators and just in Jacksonville. I'm glad that
was always
like
the hardest thing for me because, like I said, I was a military kid. I had to move around a whole lot.
Yeah. What is the hardest challenge that you've been through, and how did God's love help you get through it?
College. When I graduated high school, my guidance counselor at my graduation walked up to my dad and told him, don't bother sending him to college. I have autism and ADHD. And at the time I was undiagnosed, nobody knew, and neither did I. And my dad, I'm so glad that he didn't listen. I messed up my first couple of years. I went to OTC, Ozark Technical Community College. Shout out, go Eagles. I went there and I messed up my first 2 years. I had to restart essentially. And that's why my sister, who was 2 years younger than me, got her master's degree a year before I graduated with my bachelor's. But I did the thing.
Yeah.
And I was just telling you, I submitted for 3 Emmys, and I was part of an Emmy award winning project last year. I didn't put my name on it because I didn't feel like I did enough work to be able to like put my name on it. But my name is in the credits. I was part of an Emmy award winning project, you know, but I was told not to be sent there because they didn't think I could do it. It was a hard 8 years just to get a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
It took me a long time, and I needed all the help I could get. I'm glad my little sister was there. I'm glad my boy Devin, he was my best friend in college. He still is my best friend. I was in college for 2 years before I made that friend. You know, I was in college for 2 years at the University of Tennessee, and I was just sitting there. But then he comes up to me. I was wearing my Japanese Spider-Man hat, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, cool hat." He was sitting behind me in Econ 201. And then I talked to him. I was like, "You like it?" And he's like, "I'm really into like kaijus and stuff. Like Godzilla is my jam." And at the time, Godzilla and Power Rangers were crossing over. So he's my boy. But it was hard to make that friendship. He had to talk to me first. I was always afraid to walk up to people and talk to them, which is crazy to think about now.
I literally can't even imagine that.
But yeah, because
You're like the hostess with the mostest.
Seriously, like it was funny. One of my coworkers came to Jax Creators, and he was just like, "It's weird you being the cool kid." I was like, "Dude," like he meant it in a funny way. And I was just like, "Dude," I was literally just thinking that I am not used to everyone knowing me. But yeah, it's so cool. It's such a blessing. But that was probably one of the hardest things, you know, making friends, going through college, and making those memories, because I definitely missed out on things in college. But I would never change a thing because everything I did, I loved what I did. You know, I will always have those memories that I will keep and cherish forever.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful that your dad did not listen.
Yep.
And that, you know, your family and you decided to persevere and press on and continue. And then that you had, even though it took 2 years, I'm so grateful that you found someone that you not only were able to have such an incredible relationship with them, but that has continued even as you've moved away. Where are you currently struggling to feel the love of God in your life?
Oh man, that was the one question that I saw that it was probably the hardest for me to think about, because I was just talking about how I know everybody's got my back, and that's kind of how I feel like God's got my back. But you know, there are things like I have anxiety and depression. I have OCD, and you know, my autism, there are dark sides to it that I have to mask sometimes because, you know, society won't accept them. Not right now. But, you know, at work the other day, my boss, he actually asked me, because 4th of July is coming up. He was just like, "Hey, we're going to put you on the fireworks show. I know at the Christmas show, when they did the fireworks, you got a little overstimulated. Are you going to be okay at the fireworks show?" And the fact that he even asked, oh my God, I felt so seen. But, you know, and that's when I realized, I was like, this is how I've had a lot of bosses. I worked at comic shops. I've worked as a mechanic. I've worked as a dishwasher. I was a pizza guy. Never has a boss ever taken my disability into account. And that was so nice. I know I'm quote unquote high functioning. We don't really use that term anymore, but just for the sake of, you know, for the people watching.
Tell me about that later, because I did not know that.
Yeah,
I always want to make sure
it's a spectrum, and high functioning, it makes it sound like it's like on a line, kind of. So it's like, it's not like, oh, are you this autistic or are you this autistic? It's more like, are you this autistic? Or it's like, are you, you know, it's a spectrum, you know. So autism is, if you've met one autistic person, congratulations, you've met one autistic person. We're all different, but we're all the same at the same time. Does that make sense? So yeah, that's kind of what I mean. What, like, high functioning and low functioning, it's kind of, there's a difference. But just for the sake, like, I don't need my mom and dad to, you know, pay my bills or whatever. I do need a little bit of accommodation at work, but that's really it. You know, but there are things, at the end of the day, I have a disability. Being autistic, you know, I know I'm different. Heck, all these questions that you've been asking me, I've been going off of 8 different things. I practiced all of these in the mirror, by the way. And this is how I'm at. I practiced these all day. I was like, all right, how am I going to answer this one? And then I'm like, this is where the ADHD and autism, I like to say I have 2 different people living in my brain. One's making all the plans and the other one's just canceling them last minute. The autistic guy walked in here, had every answer planned out, and then the ADHD said, nah, bro, we're going to talk about Godzilla for a minute and Power Rangers for a minute. Okay, we just... So yeah, it is a struggle, but I try my best to get around it, and I try to be an advocate. There's autistic schools here in Jacksonville. I've done stories with them. I offered to come in and talk to the kids because, to my knowledge, I am the only autistic journalist that's diagnosed, at least. I met some of the people I work with, but I'm the only diagnosed autistic journalist in Jacksonville.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
That's
cute. I remember there's this thing called Field of Dreams. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm sure you've heard of the movie, but there's a place called Field of Dreams where they let kids with Down syndrome or autism or a disability of some sort play baseball. They don't play by the rules. They just they throw the ball, they hit the ball, and they can run to the other end and play in the dirt if they want to. And then if they want to go roll around in the dirt, they'll just let the next kid come up and they'll just play. They're having fun. Yeah. That's what they're doing. But it gives them a chance. They'll have helpers with them. Like they have high school football teams come out and they're like their little helper and they run with them, and I was talking to one of the kids and one of the kids heard that I was autistic and he came up, he was like, excuse me, you can do this with autism? I almost broke down immediately right there because the fact that I'm doing something these kids were told they couldn't do things like that. Just like my dad was told not to send me to college. They can. Do they need a little help? Is it going to be hard? 100%. It's going to be harder. Life is going to be harder for all of them. That's a given, even if you don't want to do this. I want to be a good advocate. Like reading, I'm a journalist. Reading and writing is the fundamentals of everything that I do. Mm-hmm. When I was in 10th grade, I was reading at a 4th grade reading level. But then my teacher gave me a comic book and it was The New Teen Titans written by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. I read all of the New Teen Titans and that's where Beast Boy came in, that's why he's my favorite. And I went from a 4th grade reading level to a 7th grade reading level in 6 months because of comic books. That's another reason why I love this medium so much. Sure, it's not your typical reading format, but it got me reading. And the amount of times, I make comic book content online, the amount of times I've gotten messages from moms telling me, thank you for getting my kid into reading. Sure, it's a comic book, but they're reading. Struggling with my disabilities was probably the hardest part because I felt like an alien. I felt like an outsider. I was never accepted by groups growing up. That's why I hung out with my sister all the time. But when I met Devin and when I met Ryan, I immediately just felt this feeling. It's like, oh, you're like me, But that was probably one of the hardest things I had to go through was conquering. I don't want to say conquering, but accepting my disability as a disability, not as a struggle. I know it's kind of like an oxymoron to say that it's not a struggle, it's a disability, but it's like a super ability in a way. I know a lot of things, but then when you ask me to open up this door, it's like, how do you do that? It's like, I'm like pulling a push door here. That's what it's like for relationships too. It's like, I got as much pull as a push door. So it's like, all right, we'll just cut the cameras down. Please keep that in.
Oh, this is going to be so good.
Oh my gosh, the clips you're going to get out of this, you'll be good for the rest of the year.
How can you be God's love to someone today?
Just be nice. Mm-hmm. Just being nice.
Yeah.
Support them. I was talking about Ryan's Creatorverse. I supported him. The second he told me, I was like, dude, I'm in. I have friends at work who want to be filmmakers. I'm always hyping them up. Every second. There's people who are singers at work. And every time I go to Jax Creators, if I meet someone who's in that area, I'm like, dude, follow this guy right here. Because unfortunately news doesn't sleep. We got people working late nights and they can't make it to stuff like Jax Creators. That's why I'm here. I'm here to be the wind beneath your wings and I'm here to make people happy. That's my goal in life. Make people happy.
Oh, Shuby, I love that. Yeah. And you really are incredible at that. You have such an incredible heart to connect people, help people, to champion
Yeah,
people. You champion people very well. Everyone I see you around, you are cheering them on. So
100%.
I love
Well,
hearing that. That is something you absolutely do so well.
yeah, and sadly, the reason why I do that is because I know what it's like to be told you can't do something because
Yeah.
of whatever. I know what it's like to be told comic books won't get you anywhere. I know what it's like to be told that's a dumb idea.
Mm.
But you know what? You'll never know if it's a good idea or a bad idea unless you do it. And until I started actually putting my foot out there, I didn't feel like I was accepted anywhere until I genuinely started making connections. I remember my first Jax Creators event, and I've told Ryan this many times. My first Jax Creators, I sat in my car for an hour and a half, hyping myself up to go inside because I was scared no one would accept me.
Oh,
When I walked in, and I was open arms. They were all like, I
yeah.
remember Ryan grabbed me, and he was just like, I saw a guy wearing a Batman jacket. You should go talk to him.
So it's classic Ryan.
And
This is why we love Ryan.
And I talked to them. And I remember after that, I was like, okay, now I got to introduce myself to everybody in this room because now I got hyped up.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm man, I can't even imagine you having to hype yourself up, but I'm so glad that
Yeah.
Ryan, he's so wonderful
Dude.
at just grabbing people and
Greatest
connecting
guy
them.
in the world.
Oh yes, and he connects everybody. So I'm so glad that he brought you in, but I'm also glad that you were able to take the very thing that weaponize might be too strong of a word, but something that was such a struggle and a hurdle for you in your life, not feeling like you were accepted,
Make it a
feeling like
strength. Yeah.
yes, 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 and turning that around to actually help others and to pour into others and bless others.
It's a lot
I
like parents. Parents don't want their kids to go, like, let's say a parent grew up in a crappy childhood. They don't want their kids to go through that.
yeah.
I don't want other people to know what it's like to not feel accepted or supported.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be told that's a stupid idea. That's really it. Just support everybody.
Yeah, well, you do that so well, and while I am so sorry to hear that you
Okay.
have had a lot of your life where you have been unsupported, and I'll say by the majority, I'm glad to hear that throughout your life there have always been these glimmers of hope. There have
Yeah,
been
like
these,
grandma.
yeah, your family, you've had friends throughout your life, that have supported you and got behind you, and thank God for that. And now
Yeah.
you're able to take the very thing that has been kind of the struggle of not feeling that support, and now, like you said, make sure other people, as far as you can help it, other
Yeah.
people will not feel that around you. And I think, I mean, not to make, but I literally feel like that's doing God's work, like like honestly, and but that's actually what I think it's about. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it, but that's really what love
Just do the
is,
right
right?
thing. If you see someone hurt, help them up.
Yeah,
That's the kind of person I am, or at least I try to be.
yeah.
And that's the kind of person my dad raised me to be. And I know that he's proud of me, because he tells me.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you just for who you are. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for taking your pain and struggles and turning them into something beautiful, turning them around to help others.
Yeah.
Because that's really what this is about, right?
Yeah.
That's really the point of it all, especially when you do have support of loved ones, even though it might not be across the board, channeling that love and that support and then saying, how can I turn that around
Yep.
towards others? So thank you for being that
Yeah.
person.
But that's kind of the message that these books give me. Superman is a man that can do anything, yet he chooses to be a journalist because he stands for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. He came from a planet that was going to explode. He's a refugee, but he could do anything. But he chooses to be a journalist because that's the right thing to do, because he wants people to know the truth. Batman, he had a dark past, but he uses that to help people. People think about the Joker and the Riddler and all them. They're sick. They're sick. That's how he sees them. He doesn't see them as villains, as maniacs. He sees them as people who are hurting and need to be helped. That's why Batman doesn't kill, because he thinks that everyone has a good side in them. Yeah, I mean, it's just those are the types of lessons that I get from these books here.
Yeah.
And those are just few of the many. Beast Boy is the one I relate to the most, because he has a long history of trauma. Beast Boy is the comedic relief. He's always making jokes, but he's the one who's hurting the most. And a lot of people, and that I related to that, but it's because he doesn't want people to feel the way that he ever felt.
Yeah.
Kind of where I stand on it. Beast Boy is my man.
Yo, bro. Love Beast Boy.
But thank you so much for having me on.
I love it. Oh, thank you. Well, I wanted to do it because you have a good heart.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for having a heart that cares for others.
Yes.
And I am so glad to know that you are also being cared for and surrounded by love in this community. So
Yes.
I love that for you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love. Oh,
So-
you are lovely.
Yeah, it's because what's up?
I just noticed this.
Oh yeah, all the posters on the
No,
or the
lights.
the hands. Oh
the
yeah.
hands in the head in the light.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
It looks like somebody.
I love this shop so much. Actually, I didn't notice that until a few weeks because he has one right above the count above the cash register too. I never look up often, so I should probably do that more.
That's crazy. I was like,
Yeah, but I noticed that for the first time maybe a few weeks ago, and I've been coming here for 2 years.
why are there hands up there? Who is up there? Who's in the list?
It's probably Doug, and the other one is Carol.
Oh.
Yeah, they know what they did. Okay.
Oh Lord, I'm not gonna ask. I don't want to find out. I'll fuck around and find out.
They did. Nothing I'm going to say on record, that's for sure.